What's poppin', everybody? I always say what's poppin'. I don't say hello. I say what's poppin'. Let y'all know this is my first talk. I'm extremely nervous, so bear with me. As Matt said, my name is Krystopher Scott, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about purpose over profit. I'm going to start with the beginning. These fine folks here is Harold Warren Scott Sr. and Gloria Davis Scott. These are my makers' makers. This is my father's parents, but as you can see, I look very much so like them. I was very much so inspired, especially being raised by these two individuals. My parents were in the military, so I spent a good amount of time around my grandparents. My grandfather was a part of a band in the 70s called Zebra. He was a photographer. He is a U.S. Army veteran. My grandmother worked for the Social Security Administration in Richmond, Virginia for over 35 years. So growing up, I grew up around a lot of music, around a lot of art, photography, those different things. About last year, this time, a lot of things changed in my life, a lot of big changes, including, I ended up going through a separation and divorce. And so it was a little bit rough, especially, having children that's involved in that. But I was able to be around a group of people. I knew that it was important for me to be around a community. Just a quick definition. This is what happens when you have a font that's not installed in the computer. But a community is a feeling of fellowship with others, which is what I want to focus on. And the people that really helped me getting through that period of time was my Creative Mornings family. Has anybody attended Creative Mornings in the Columbus area? All right. Did anybody attend any Creative Mornings in their other cities? So Creative Mornings is a great way to connect, especially, in the arts and creative community. I had the pleasure of living in Atlanta, Georgia. That's where I first was introduced to Creative Mornings. So a lot of the people that you see here, this is, my community, and we wanted to create something, for the creative community here in Columbus. Being introduced to Creative Mornings kind of introduced me into what I call a village. So a village, the definition is the inhabitants of such a community or community collectively. So I started to get introduced to different people in the Columbus area. I'm originally from Hampton, Virginia. I've lived in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. I've also lived in Atlanta, as I said. So I started to meet different people through Creative Mornings here in the Columbus area. If you're from Columbus, you probably recognize a couple of these different people. We have Celeste of Malvar Stewart. We have Mr. Timothy Wolfstar over there. We also have Brandy Luss. I also met a gentleman by the name of Brandon Gavon. Brandon actually owns a shop downtown called The Flying Gent. Then you see this gentleman all the way in the far bottom right. That is Victor. Victor Dandridge is a comic book artist here locally in Columbus, Ohio as well. So I started, these are the people that are in my village, and we have Marshall Storts of Creative Control and Artfluential. We have Zach Traxler of Traxler Printing. We have Randy Sharma, he's the local rock doctor here. So as you can see, I started to meet new people. Brandy, she just released her book about 2 months ago. Then we have David Butler, Sketch. He is a very great local artist here in the Columbus, Ohio area. And if you attended Adam's talk this morning with the Wonder Jam, that's him down there at the bottom. So I started to meet these different people, and they had these different stories to tell. And I myself, I am a transgender black man in Trump's America. So I had started to do a vlog about my transition and just kind of as an outlet, just kind of talking about what I was going through and dealing with in life. And people were just like, man, your story is, interesting. You should keep talking about it. And I'm like, I really don't have that, interesting of a story. This is just an outlet for me. But as we started to create more and more videos, people, started to find people like, oh, you have a great story. You have a great story. Do you mind if I share your story on video? Because I had started out doing my vlog. So I started to meet different people, started to tell different stories, and we created something that was called BOB, which is Billion or Bust. The idea of Billion or Bust is that in anything that we do, we want to affect 1 billion people. It's not about the money. And we wanted to focus specifically on the stories of minority entrepreneurs because their stories are not told. And it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter your gender, it doesn't matter your ethnicity or background. It's important that children see other examples outside of being an athlete. You could be successful and not be an actress or an actor. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you can. You can be a creative. If you want to be a plumber, you can be a plumber and be successful. Yes, you may start out just being a plumber, but you can have your own plumbing company. So you're making $15 an hour and you have millions of people that work underneath of you. And so the more that I started to tell these stories and run into other people, people were just like, we really like the stories that you're telling in the videos. Has anybody attended any of the gallery openings at Blockford here, Blockford Gallery opening? I don't know. You probably seen our tag Billion or Bust. So that's us. We did the videos. Blockford didn't pay us to do the videos. We just wanted to support the community. We started to go to these different events and started to make recap videos, and we would tell other people's stories. Then that turned into me finding the purpose. So definition of a purpose is something set up as an object or end to be obtained. And so I knew that my purpose was to tell a story. And to tell the stories of people who are underrepresented and their stories are not often told. And so that's where Billion or Bust came from. And then after Billion or Bust, the profit portion came in. But first, we had to find what our purpose was. After people reaching out to us and saying, hey, we love your videos so much, would you be willing to do a video for us? We didn't set up an actual business model for us to be able to be like an agency per se. So that's where the profit came into place. And profit is a valuable return. Then comes BOBM. So BOBM stands for Billion or Bust Media Agency. So then it turned into, now we have people that reach out to us to do content storytelling. But this all started from me figuring out who I was and finding my purpose. And I highly encourage each and every person, once you find your purpose, everything else will follow that. And never be afraid to pay it forward. Is there anything, has anybody wanted to start a vlog and a little bit nervous? Raise your hand. Everybody wants to start a vlog at some point. No, anybody want to start a business and they were a little bit scared about starting a business? It's very difficult to take that first leap. And then especially with us trying to be very present on social media. Does anybody have a little bit nervous about being present on social media? They don't want to put their face out there. Well, hey, it's okay. You can do it. You know, like I said, I'm a black transgender man in America, and I am visible for my company. I'm behind my company, and there's no fear in what I do because I know that the story that I'm telling is going to influence and affect somebody else. And although it is your journey, know that your story is meant to be shared with somebody else to help and encourage someone else. This is it. That's all I have. This is one of my favorite pictures, a place here locally called The GOAT. And most people know the GOAT stands for the greatest of all time. And so that's one thing that I aspire to be in storytelling. This is a representation to me of all the different people's stories that I get to tell. They are considered the GOATs to me. That's all I have. Does anybody have any questions?